Welcome to the Dental Construction Insider, your go-to place if you are going to do some construction down the line on your practice, whether it's going to be a remodel, it's going to be an expansion, it's going to be some sort of startup, or you're going to go for the whole enchilada and do a ground up. We are your go-to people to help you with that, or to give you some information, free information, so that way you are better suited for success. Now, today we have a special guest, and I would like to read her accolades here. Let me get that ready while Veronica tells you what to do.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on any of our social media at 26L Dental Builders.
All right, thank you, Veronica. Okay, so we have BJ. Let me give you a little bit of background on BJ here. This is just a lot of bullet points because there's a whole lot. She's got a long career in dental. So she's OSHA Industrial Certified. She's completed the course for the Classic Practice Studies. She owned a construction company in the late 90s. She helped turn that company around. She then moved on to be the initial office person and office everything, right? I guess for a startup company out that was here in San Antonio that ran some dental offices for a well-known person. And then she owned a practice management company that moved out to Dallas that ran several offices out there in Dallas. And then she ended up becoming the senior vice president of human resources, risk management here for a DSO that ran several offices and had over 200 employees that she had to manage. I don't know if she could do that, man. It's hard enough with a bunch of part-timers.
No kidding.
So, and then she's done some independent work and independent contracting and consulting, helping some people. She has joined our group to help us with our SOPs, with our protocols, with our handbook, with the stuff that we need that we should, have been doing.
All the boring stuff.
Well,
for
it's
us.
the important stuff.
I know, it's the most important stuff, but
It's important, and we don't know how to do it. So she's been gracious enough to help us with that and get us in compliance and stuff like that.
Yes.
So we appreciate it. BJ, welcome to the podcast. The intro could have been long because you have so many different accolades and so much experience into the dental industry that the viewers are soon going to learn. And today we're talking about hiring checklists, right? Is that what we're talking about today?
This hiring process and the checklist that reflect those.
Okay, cool. So I don't even know where to start. Usually we just have somebody sit with us and say, do you need a job? Yeah, I need a job. Okay. Do you have any tools? No, I don't have any tools. Oh, okay. I can rent you something.
So as discussed in one of the previous podcasts, we just touched lightly on, I gave you some broad strokes on the hiring process and some little tips on that. But really, most importantly, you should start off with a handbook.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the handbook, everything flows from that aspect of it. So I'm speaking now on the hiring process of employees, so your staff, your team. I'll move on to the administrative area of it, but first and foremost, you need to just really assess where those policies are and the handbooks are, and that contains everything that the mandates of law for your particular state, which are pretty much the same except for some states. And I think I mentioned those before, which is California, Massachusetts, New Jersey. But for the most part, they're the same. It's really important to understand that the laws are very strict. The labor laws are very strict, and we must comply with them, and for good reason.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Now,
And
can a doctor do all this? Or do you recommend, it's good to recommend somebody to do all that, but what if they're a startup?
they're a startup, the doctor should not be doing this.
Oh.
Yeah. So
They should not be doing this.
And we see that all the time on the groups, the different groups where they say
wanna
you can
do
get
it.
an employee handbook or manual from blah blah blah, or you can copy mine.
No.
Not a good idea, right?
Okay.
Bad idea. even if it's not, if it's copyrighted, especially, they should not be copying. But even if it's not copyrighted, then they're getting it off of the World Wide Web, which is a really bad idea. It should be specific to their practice, to what they are going to be, their hours, their discipline, what they're going to be practicing if they're a specialist. And many of them are. And there are certain things that are very different from general practice, general dentistry. So that's very important that they not delve into that. It'd be much like me reading something or in a book, or retrieving it off the web on how to perform a root canal. And then say,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to perform a root canal on you, so let me just go ahead
But I saw it on
let me go ahead and
YouTube.
do that. So, I saw one on YouTube, and so let me go ahead and do
Step by
that.
step.
And it's even as important that would be not to do, it's even more important not to do that when it comes to
Yeah.
the handbook, because the laws are the laws, and you
Right.
could get in a whole lot of trouble with that. There's hefty fines, and what I like to tell my doctors is, you never want to be on the 6 o'clock news. Now
Yeah.
they'll say, but I don't watch 6 o'clock news, and I'll say, don't worry, other people do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
it'll hit
your
the web.
patients do, yeah.
So you don't want that to happen.
Well, yeah, because you create that, that's done, by attorneys, right? And then, heaven forbid, you hope you pay for that, but you don't ever have to use it. But if you did have to use it and you got it from a friend or somebody, or you
Right.
got one from ChatGPT, then
No.
it doesn't. It's just easy for the other people's attorneys to put holes
Yes.
in the things that were just not
There's no backup.
accurate in there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Documentation is everything.
Yeah.
And I'll get to talking about that at some
Yeah.
point.
If it's not written down, it wasn't done.
It wasn't
That's-
Yeah.
And
A
I always
nursing thing.
recommend, yes, email, writing, and publishing it as we speak. Because every
Yeah.
time we speak, we're publishing, are we
Oh
not?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so we need to be in compliance with the employment laws. And then we need to be compliant with many other aspects of the business. But in order to create the checklists that are going to reflect all of these systems, then we need to know what those are. So let's take the hiring process.
Yeah.
The hiring process requires, first, job descriptions. Of course, you would have had the handbook already completed. Because you need to know what your hours of operation are. That's something very simple, but it needs to be in there, and the reasons why, and if you're working every other Saturday, maybe.
Yeah.
Not sure. So you create the job descriptions. Before you even place an ad, the important thing about that is that the person needs to know what the expectations are. What are the marks they need to meet? Are they even qualified for it? Then this follows into the performance review. The performance review will be conducted at 90 days after employment. Let's say the person does
Yeah.
gain employment. But then at that point, we review what they've done thus far. Have we provided the proper tools? And I mean instruction, training, etc. If they don't have that, then it's incumbent upon us to provide that for them. So that's really important. And I'm sure in your business, Veronica, in nursing, y'all had to have that as well.
Oh, yes, definitely.
It's very, very important. And it's something that when we've conducted that 90-day review, it's a test to see, okay, where we are. Then subsequently it's done at a year. Of course, we can always conduct those more often. You should be touching base with your staff more than just about the practice and about the clinical aspects or the admin aspects. You should have a connection with them as far as their children, if they have children. Did they make the softball team, the baseball team, the whatever team? Make a connection with them. You're spending a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. So the hiring process, like I said, that it requires a lot of different pieces, but these things, if you have them up front, which you must have them up front. So this is for you doctors. I'm speaking to y'all directly. Let's see, camera one.
Yeah.
So,
There it is, right there,
this
yeah.
camera. So it is incredibly important that you know what it is that you expect from them, that it is written, and I call that publishing it. Because when we write, when we email, when we text, when we speak, we're publishing. So it's very important that you communicate these things with them. Yes, you say, I don't like conflict, BJ. No problem, doctor. There's conflict resolution. And how? Because we have a handbook and a guideline. So let's really pay attention to that. The second piece of information that's so important. Oh, but the handbook can be a little pricey. Okay, I need you to forget about that next toy that you want to buy. I call it a toy because, there's some really neat gadgets and gizmos out there that will help you with your dentistry, yes. There's some that you absolutely have to have, but you do not need 29 burrs. You do not need a CBCT right off the bat if that's not the type of discipline that you're going to be practicing. And how on earth are you going to be paying for it? Anyhow, that's that's something that I just have on my mind a lot. But anyhow, so that's something where you need to give something up, and you must have this handbook. And from it, you will be able to conduct your staffing and with such dignity, with poise, with professionalism. So let's do that, okay?
Yeah.
Training, development, we touched on that. Training development should be done. It should be encouraged. Other than just a really quick morning huddle and let's talk about the new thing that I read about, or a TikTok, or whatever it is that you maybe came in contact with. Let's delve deeper.
Yeah.
There's many, many books out there. I have a whole list of books that I like to just share, but you can listen to them podcasts
Oh,
too.
yeah. A lot
So-
of docs I talk to listen to podcasts, and
Yeah.
they share them with us. The big thing that they talk about in their practice now is culture. And that's coming from podcasts, because a lot of these podcast people, whether they're motivational or business related or whatever, they all talk about culture. And so we've had some docs talk to us like, God, I want to get, a certain culture down in my practice. And I'm like, in our industry in construction, our culture was just everybody being safe and getting home, going home, being safe on
Yes.
the job site and stuff, and not having anybody run behind, not saying like, you're holding us up. That was like a big no. And
Right.
but for culture, they're more of like trying to get, there's a lot of team building activities that are done in the dental office. I know, and it for us, it was just, we at the end of the job, at the end of the day, we might go out for, beers or something, or we might hang at the office for a while, but not very long, and we go. But it's so different in dental industry, to see the
Yes.
different posts of how they try to build culture with, trying to keep staff, engaged with each other, which,
Yes.
it can
hard.
be difficult.
Yep.
It can be.
You worked at a, hospital with lots of people, and
Oh, yeah.
then, you had, over 200 people that you're having to manage, and, and it's hard to, y'all had, I remember we had events when I was there, for the time I was there, and, it's hard to keep, everybody engaged in the different holidays or things that they would do, seasonal stuff. I mean, I was out of town most of the time anyway for those things, but I mean,
you
even
were.
at that, I mean, it was, I could see y'all
They do a
had
lot of
them too.
outings now with the staff.
Yes.
and-
Yeah.
So, and those are all great ideas. Culture building is really, really important in any industry, really. But when you work in such a tight-knit group, that's so important. But I can give you a few tips that will not cost too much money, but really do come from the heart. I really enjoy taking a Post-it and placing on the Post-it, you are appreciated. You rock. Something specific to them. I'd take that Post-it when they were out to lunch. I'd walk by their monitor and just stick it on there. I would not sign it. I would just put it on there. And when they came back from lunch, there was a smile on their face. We don't know what happened before, during, and after when they come in. Yes, they're not supposed
That's a
to
good
bring
idea.
it with them,
Yeah.
but it works. Now, the other thing is, Write them a note, a heartfelt note about how they've made a difference in the office. And even if they are struggling, you can still say 3 kind words to them about what they're doing. Put it in the mail and make sure they receive it on their day off. Do not have them receive it on a work day.
Oh,
So that's normally a Saturday. Yes, I know there's some that are open on Saturdays, but you can still figure out what day
Yeah.
they're off. They receive it on their day off. They open it. They're in a relaxed mode. They're at home. And now they feel like they have really made a difference.
yeah.
And there's so many other ways, but I found that those were, and they're genuine. Which
I've
is
heard
really
those
important.
before. I've heard them on different podcasts I've listened to doing things like that. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost anything, not a lot of time,
No.
but there's some thought that goes into it, especially like the one where you mail something to
Yes.
them to their office, and you make it, of course, professional because you don't want their significant
course.
other like wondering like, who the
No.
heck sending you this?
Who sent you that?
But
right?
yeah, but it could be like from the office or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, so
It's super important.
I think culture is a big thing right now. I know. Core values, right? I've talked about having core values written and put in someplace where we have a place where we can see them. Although, this is all going to move soon. We'll have someplace else to put them at. But yeah, I think it's just a tough job.
It is.
It's just-
managing people,
Yeah.
man.
And
It's tough.
we can always substitute managing people, managing staff to leading them. Leadership is so important. Leading them. They want leaders. I think of managing staff as managing inedible objects. It's just like I'm trying to manage the feng shui of a room. But when I'm leading a team, that takes on a different tone. And much like, as you know, I consider what I wear is my uniform.
Oh yeah.
It reminds me of the professionalism that I carry, that I need to remember what it is that I am sometimes leading the staff on, sometimes directing them because they do need direction. They're looking for a leader.
Yeah.
They don't want to be flailing out there in the wild blue yonder, so to speak.
Yeah.
So they need to be able to be led.
But it's that one that they said that Doc told us leaders aren't late.
Oh, yeah.
I like.
Yes.
Oh, we like that.
Yeah,
Veronica.
we use it all the time.
We use it all
Yeah.
the time. Like leaders aren't late, so we make sure that we're on time.
Thanks,
for the
Emily,
things that we say.
if she's hearing this.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thanks,
right.
Emily.
Leaders aren't late.
Very
I
good
remember
point.
she said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that also applies to not just late in time frame, but late when it comes to ideas, to initiative, to so many
Yeah,
other
true.
things. So we can transform that into something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're talking about, loosely talking about the checklist
Mm-hmm.
for hiring, somebody, and there's just a lot that goes into it. And when it comes down to it, it's experience. It's a
Yes.
skill of being able to read people, pick up on their mannerisms and stuff like that we talked about before. And it's much like a salesman, and I always go back to salesman, I guess, because I don't like them. But you go back to a salesman, right? When you're like, I'm looking at the F-350, the Super Duty. I'm like, hey, this is nice. Guy goes, you like that? Yeah, it's on special right now. Blah blah. You buy it today.
Yep.
And you're
You
like,
get an
just
extra
when you hear
1,500
that
off.
kind of like talk, or are you driving that? You're driving that truck over there? Oh man, blah blah. They start putting down what you're driving and telling you that you should buy this one. You're like, well, that's not the best way to start off,
No.
right? So, but it's all about how you talk. I guess I need to put that phone somewhere else. 'Cause
It doesn't bother me.
I'm gonna put this in the drawer right here.
But when you
I can
talk,
forget it. Nobody's gonna be able to find me for days. I'll put it in the drawer. Nobody for days. Somebody just said, "I've been calling Tom. He can't get a hold of me." Put his phone in the drawer on the podcast like days ago. I forgot where he put it.
it works.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about the checklist for hiring,
Yes.
and I'm sure you have like a whole list of things you go
Oh,
down with
goodness.
people. Oh, and I'm sure they're specific. to what their resume says, right?
Yes, it's specific to the job description, and it's specific to what their credentials are, what they carry, the amount of experience that they have. So there are SOPs, so standard operating procedures, that reflect the checklist, that reflect the protocols that are in place. So
Yeah.
standard practices, and that's
Yeah.
what we have to go by.
So is it typical for a new hire to just come in and ask you for 25% more than what the position is typically paid? Or, is it typical for them to say, like, if the position is a $15 position, uh, and they were like, I want 18 or 20 or more an hour. Is that normally what they do? And then you got to kind of like, well, okay, let's talk about your skill set for that number. Is that how you work with them, or
Yes, so
you just tell them there's a door?
Thanks,
you're
but,
not for us. Thanks, but no thanks. I I love to engage with individuals like that because I want to know what makes them believe that they can gain that much. So, to quote a phrase, "Show me the money."
Oh yeah.
So show me
yeah.
why.
Yeah,
Show
tell
me
me
why
why.
you expect to make that much.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I welcome that. I welcome really any question that they have, even some that will come in that it's more, okay, what are you going to give me? And I've had that just straight
Ask
up
you
saying,
that? What are you gonna? What is this position
what are
gonna
you
do for me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they won't even say position. They'll just it's a perfunctory process of just going through the chat, and then they'll say, "So what do I get? I mean, what do I get?
I couldn't help but look at the camera like,
You get
what?
a job.
What do I get?
That's what you're getting.
What do I get?" And I think, right. So we've spoken about the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I've laid those out clearly for you ahead of time so that you can see what it is that all this entails. But they'll still say, "What do I get?"
Wow.
And then, of course, that triggers something in me that says, "Did they read it?"
Mm-hmm.
And then if they did read it,
Then they
what
know
makes them
they
think
get.
that there's more, they can receive more than the benefit that's there? And maybe they've just graduated, or maybe they've been in the business for 30 years.
Wow.
So yeah, they'll say those things, but
What do
then
I
we'll talk
get?
about it. And yeah,
What do I
what
get?
do I get? That one was very, very interesting. But anyway, what do I get?
And how
But we'll go
about?
through that.
So I know we're talking about like trying to hire people, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like skipping. Like, has you ever had to like, when you're terminating somebody, have like law enforcement called or something? Or
Oh yes,
really?
oh yes,
Wow.
on
Because
several
I mean, you think
occasions.
of them saying like, "Well, what do I get?" And then they're the ones that are going to be like the ones like, "No, I'm not leaving. I'm not being terminated. I'm staying."
Right.
And you're like,
So the interesting thing about that is, it's really, this is why I love this position. I really love this position, is because the handbook dictates all of the policies, which are
Yeah.
our laws, which they adhered to, they signed, they agreed upon, and the first time that they cash the check, that means it's a done deal. It's sealed, signed, sealed, delivered. We're done.
yeah,
But when it does come to separation, which is what I call it, yes, it's termination. There's a lot of things, but the soft landing for me is separation.
oh yeah,
Because I leave them with dignity. I really
Yeah,
do
yeah.
wish them well. I
Yeah,
really
don't-
do wish them well in their future endeavors. I do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then it's
do.
not like you're fired. No, it's like,
Right.
hey, we're gonna have a separation. We're gonna go ahead and separate.
Right.
Okay, so you say it differently so that
Right.
and that does sound better.
It's a softer blow.
It's not
It
like
is.
what does
It
that guy
is.
say? You're
You're fired.
Yes, yes.
We
yeah.
all know who that is,
we know who
right?
that, yes, we know who that is.
Wow.
And-
So yeah.
Yeah, so, and that does happen, but I have had to coordinate a law enforcement to be there. And there's certain things that I review first
Yeah.
before, and I know.
Yeah. Well, that's
I know who it's going to be.
That's oh yeah. You say the right one. That's part, but
I
that's
know.
part of following your handbook
Yes,
and your protocols, which are document
yes,
first incident, document again, and then whatever
Right.
it is that after that. So that way, it's none of this like this is the first time I'm hearing this.
Yeah.
right.
What? Nope. It's been documented. Or
Yes.
I'm gonna just go to the unemployment and
Yeah.
tell them I was making $10,000 a month.
Right, right. And there's what we call corrective action. So
Corrective action, yeah.
we correct them. We teach them to self-correct.
Mm-hmm.
When they haven't self-corrected, then we've talked to them again. I do. And then we go ahead and proceed with, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
It's just not a good fit.
Mhm.
Now, there's an instance where that does not take place, and that is when they break the law.
Oh, yeah.
And I have had that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I had a senior provider, not a dentist, but she changed the clinical note and the diagnosis
Oh, wow.
from that a doctor had placed, and that is clearly breaching the law. I mean, big
Yeah.
time.
That's fraud.
That's just
Yeah.
terrible. And I, luckily, since I audit so often, but I saw it just moments after she had done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought her in, and I told her, did you make a mistake? I gave her the chance to
Yeah.
try
yeah.
to fix it. Did you make a mistake? No, he's wrong. He did not diagnose this correctly. And I said, that's against the law. You understand that. And
Oh, hold on. She wasn't a dentist?
no, she was
But
not
she
a
was
dentist.
saying that the dentist diagnosed it wrong?
Yes.
Wow.
And the dentist had not had a chance to even look at the clinical note. And
Yeah.
I said no, and I proceeded to, and I always have a witness. You should always have a
Mhm,
witness
mhm.
when you separate from a staff member. And the door should always be ajar,
Oh, okay, yeah.
especially if it's male, female.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a witness, and then I went ahead and just said, okay, I need you to gather your things.
Mm-hmm.
And I still gave her dignity, didn't have her parade her,
Yeah,
do the perp
yeah.
walk. And so we escorted her out of the building. That time I did not call law enforcement. It was
Mhm.
very quick, and I did not expect anything to happen. She was just, I really don't know
Yeah.
why she deemed it necessary to change the diagnosis,
Jeez.
but she did. And I told her you broke the law. And so there's no leeway. I just
No,
have to.
not for that. Yeah, I
and
mean,
she
'cause
admitted it.
if
She
you
said,
do
yeah,
it
I did. He's wrong.
once- you do it once, and you're gonna think that you're gonna do it again. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I've
And I-
corrected inspectors, but I haven't corrected doctors.
You don't
Yeah.
correct doctors. No,
No.
that's a big no-no. But that's where you have to have somebody that is always being mindful of keeping track of clinical notes. The clinical notes should be audited for obvious reasons, but
Yeah.
they should be audited not to change them, but to make sure, because everything that we do place in the chart when it's digital, which everyone should be digital by now,
Oh,
shouldn't
yeah.
they?
Right.
Yeah.
It clearly states whose hands were on them last, what time, the date, stamp, the
Yep.
whole thing. So you know what that is. But yeah, but other times, yeah, there've been times where I was very, very concerned for an employee, and I was concerned for him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to make sure that law enforcement asked the 9 questions to make sure that he would do himself no harm.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Because
okay,
that was
got it.
that was concern for him.
Mhm, mhm.
I didn't think he would harm us, but I was concerned he might harm himself.
Yeah.
So then I let the professionals take over.
Mhm.
I'm not a professional in that realm. So
Yeah.
they did, and they asked him the proper questions, and then got him some help.
Oh,
So
wow.
I
Yeah.
felt good about that.
Good.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, it's definitely
different
a thing that the dentist they have to consider when they're doing their startup, or even if they're running staff right now. There's just always something that has to, it's. I've heard them so many times tell me like, oh, I get to treat some patients today for the most part, but between that, they're always swallowing their lunch.
Yes.
Answering somebody about something specific,
Mm-hmm.
talking to a staff member or whatever about something. So their day just seems to fly. I mean, we just spent a few days in Atlanta, for that expansion that we're doing over there for that dock, and and we
yes.
saw him. I mean, we saw him every day, and he was just running around, and somebody would be in his office. And, like, okay,
Or they'd
I
always
got
come
that
looking for
done.
him
Oh,
because
they're
he's
looking
with
for him.
us.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
with us. They come
Right.
looking for him. They're like, And because he's wanting to know like how's the build going, how are things going, but the staff looking for him for what for things that he needs to do.
Sure.
We swear that they
They
have a
want to
little
talk to him, a
a
tracker.
tracker because they would always find him, even though it was
They
a
would find
I mean, we could
huge
be in the
building.
corner
Yeah.
over there around, and there's other people in the building working, and they would find him.
Yeah.
Yes.
You'd see the scrubs come in. You're like, oh, hey doc, and he wouldn't be looking, and he'd turn around and look, and they're like, and he's like, I gotta go, guys.
I can't play
Yes.
anymore.
Or he had a meeting or
Yeah.
something that he needed to do with, a staff member that was like, hey, it's my time. And like,
Yeah. And now that you bring that up, that applies, that is very critical for for you to lead in such a way that this may sound a little odd, but they need to become independent of you, independent thinkers in the right way.
Yeah.
Once they've been vetted, once they're experienced, they know when it is that they need to go ahead and
yeah.
get a hold of you, or when they need, but they should be able to independently think about these things and then ask for assistance or go ahead and call the doctor into the room for certain things. But they should never be asking him questions that are obviously they've been trained on.
Mm-hmm.
It should be very few and far between when
That's
he's
right.
interrupted
Yeah.
for anything admin.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, never, and he should never, ever, ever discuss the economic situation of the presentation of what treatment that's going to be done.
Yeah.
He should never, and if sometimes patients will try to corner them
Yeah.
in the exam room, but that's something that he needs to say, always just
Talk to my treatment
yeah,
coordinator.
direct it to your treatment coordinator.
Yeah,
My
or-
staff is
or-
going to go ahead and take care of all that, and before they even try to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
He should
'cause
be ahead of it.
He may not know all the particulars
No.
of what he knows how to do the procedure, but there's those other I forgot what they're called, but I know them as codes
Yes, all the
that
dental codes,
that,
yes.
that you have to put into there that
Oh, yes.
that account for
Yes.
the lidocaine, the cotton roll, the whatever,
Yes.
the blah blah blah, the injection and whatever, so
Yes.
and he may not thinking through that, but that's why they have all that in that
Right.
thing so that they know
The
what that
checklist.
procedure costs. Yeah, they know what that it's when the docs say, the docs ask us, and I would always tell them like, well, have you put in your procedure amounts? I forgot what it's called, but it's something where they're
The procedure codes.
yeah, I think it's procedure codes, like how much they're going to charge for whatever procedure or things that they're doing. They have to set all that up in the open dental or something. And that
Yes.
takes, I've heard it takes hours, but I always tell them, they're like, hey, what do I need to do? Have you set that stuff up? Or I tell them, have you ordered your supplies? They're
Oh,
like,
that's a big one. Ordering supplies.
have you ordered supplies? They're
The
like,
book is
"Ugh."
a Bible, and
Yeah, it's huge.
It's like, I'm
what
like,
kind of
"Yeah."
cotton rolls?
I'm like, you
Yes.
know what?
There's so many different kinds.
You go to the office that you're at now, that's all there for you and everything, but now you have to have it there. And you may not have the ones that you particularly like because
Yes.
they might be expensive, so you might have to order a different one until you can afford the ones you like.
Now that you mentioned Open Dental, that's a really great software. Yeah, you can preset all of the clinical notes in there
Oh,
for general things.
Yeah.
But they
Right.
always have to place the blood pressure and all the other particulars.
I know.
That's another thing that I'd audit. I just
Oh, yeah.
audit
Yeah, I've
that.
seen you using that before. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know how y'all read that. I
Yeah.
remember when I'd go in your office and I would see, like, the open dental.
Yes.
Open up whatever office you're looking at for whatever reason, or you were talking to somebody about on one of your screens.
Yep.
I was like, geez, man, that is like, I see it now in some offices. I'm like, I don't understand that. And yes, we've been HIPAA certified or trained, so that way
Oh, yes.
because we go in there and we see that all the time, and
Yes.
we see those open
And
things.
and that too, that segues me into training for phishing when they're using the computer. They need to be trained on that and how they should not be entering into scams or hitting a button,
Yeah.
clicking on something that will have effects on the entire system and the hard drives. So there's so many training activities,
Yeah.
and you can make it fun.
Yeah.
You can make a lot of fun. I like to see what score I get.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's always fun. I like to see I wonder how up to date I am on
know.
this. Let me get another. Let me see what my scores are.
I didn't ever do any of those modules I get. I didn't know what half of them meant. Well, it's because they were sent out company wide. So Sharon would send them out like, hey, you
Yes,
got to do these modules, and I would get them. I'm like, I don't know what half these things mean. I mean, I'm not. They were for like insurance or department or for the phones department.
Right.
And they were specific. And well, I was in like a really gray area.
Yeah, you
They
were.
had IT, of course, they knew theirs, marketing knew theirs, but I was like in a really gray area. So I would get, something from her.
Sure.
I'm like, I don't know what that means. And like, look at it.
I'm like,
Nope, I was out of town.
Yeah.
It didn't download. I don't know what
and it
happened.
didn't.
Nah.
My computer,
And
no,
she'd
not
come
here.
back to you. She would always find them. She was great. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, Sharon was
team,
good.
she was-
good. She was tough, but she was good.
Yeah.
I like her.
yeah, top
Well,
notch.
I think we're good here. Think
Yeah.
we're good. Yeah. Yeah.
Questions?
30
If
minutes
anybody
in.
has any comments, concerns,
Yes.
give us a,
Yeah.
shout.
Yeah.
Just let us know.
leave a comment.
Leave a comment. We'd like to be able to help. BJ would be happy to answer your question.
Yes.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
Yes. Thank you.